to session 1 of Accessible Authors. This is a week-long event which is hosted by Children Today to celebrate disability and the power of storytelling. My name is Fiona and I'm a fundraiser with the charity Children Today. I'd like to introduce you firstly to Lexi, my glamorous assistant, who also works for the charity. And we are delighted in this session to be welcoming Kate Foster, amazing author, who'll be reading today from her work PAWS. And you can see this morning that she's also joined by her lovely dogs as well. Before we get going, I'd also like to give you a proper introduction to our charity. So our charity is Children Today, and we're quite a small charity. We're a team of about 6 ladies, and what we do is we help young people who are aged up to 25 years old to access adapted equipment, which is often unavailable from the NHS, but makes an incredible difference to the lives of children and young people who are living with disabilities. And this includes things like trikes, adapted buggies, sensory equipment, and powered and lightweight wheelchairs. And so we are super duper thrilled to be working with our incredible authors this week to bring greater awareness to disability in storytelling. If you or someone that you know, be it friends, families, colleagues, fellow students, that would need a little bit of help or assistance from our charity, then you can reach us by email at info@childrentoday.org.uk, or alternatively, if you prefer a telephone call, you can get us on 01244 335 622. This is a completely free event, and if you are able to, we would love it if you could help us to continue to run events like this by donating as much or as little as you would like. You can do this by texting the number on the screen, 70580, and the keyword authors to donate £3, or alternatively, you can scan the QR code for a donation. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to lovely Kate. Kate Foster is a children's author, and she loves to write about her favourite themes, including friends, family, and dogs. Originally from the southeast of England, Kate now lives on the Gold Coast in Australia with her family and her dogs. She's passionate about encouraging and teaching a wider understanding of autism and mental illness via a positive approach and representation. Her debut middle grade novel, PAWS, was published in 2021, and that's what she's going to be reading from today. It's a story about Alex and his best friend, Kevin, the cockapoo. So just to begin, to introduce Kate, and so that we can get to know you a little bit better, Kate, so I'll stop banging on quite as much. Can you introduce yourself to us a little bit? What are your interests?
Thank you. What an absolutely fantastic introduction. I'm not really sure if I can add anything to that, but I'll try, because I do babble a lot, as my children tell me I talk too much. I have one main interest. I'm not 100% sure if anyone could possibly guess what that interest might be. There's a couple of clues that I brought with me today. Yes, my dogs. I absolutely adore dogs. I've adored dogs since I was young, like little, really little, from as early as I can possibly remember. I remember just everywhere I went, I would look at the dogs and I would say hello to the dogs, and I would want to stroke the dogs, and I would just love them. And I even told a big fib when I was really little that I had dogs. I told everyone I had these dogs who had all these puppies, and so I think eventually my mum and dad thought, well, maybe we should get a puppy. And actually, I've got a photo here of my very, very first dog. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this was my very first dog, called Josh, and he's a beautiful golden retriever, and he was just enormous, absolutely enormous. And then I had another golden retriever when I was a little bit older, and now I've got these 2 little chums here. So this is Claude, my spoodle, and this one is Ian, who is my cavoodle. A lot of people think Ian is quite a strange name for a dog, but I disagree. I think it's absolutely perfect. So apart from dogs, I love all animals. I love nature. I love getting out in nature, going for long walks. I love just sitting around trees and by water, and I love all different sorts of weather. And now that I live in Australia, I've lived in Australia for 10 years, and wow, we get some really wild weather over here. So we have these huge storms and cyclones, and it's just, yeah, it's really like, it's quite scary, but kind of like really exciting at the same time. So I'm very interested in weather. And the only other thing really I could probably tell you that I'm interested in is cake and biscuits. Yeah, I really like cake and biscuits. So I eat too much, but that's fine.
You have a particular favourite kind of biscuit, Kate? I'm thinking like a Lamington if you're in Australia.
Oh, really? No, I don't really like lamingtons. I know I don't tell any Australians that because they, you know, I might be thrown out. I'm not sure. But yeah, I like just, you know, I actually really like just good old plain biscuits, like a good digestive or a rich tea or something like that. I love to dip it in a cup of tea with some milk. But kind of biscuits in general, I just love biscuits. I think any sort of biscuit is for me. And as for cake, I mean, is there a bad cake? I don't think there is a bad cake that exists. I mean, even mud cake, I used to make those when I was little, and I don't know if I ate them, but you know, even they're pretty cool.
So what kick-started your interest in writing, Kate? Did you always want to be a writer?
Yes, I did, and I was always a writer, always. Well, I remember, I mean, it's a long time ago, you know, I'm only 22 now. Maybe a bit older than that. I'm not, but I won't say. But yeah, many years ago, I think when I was about 4, I remember creating my very first book. And I don't think there were many words in it, and probably many pictures either. But I had a go and I made this book. It was called Monty Mouse, and I just loved the whole process of creating this book. And it folded and opened, and it had pages. And I remember rushing in to show my mum and dad, and I showed my big brother as well, but he was quite mean about it. So yeah, I got a bit secretive with my writing after that because he was quite mean. But yeah, I think I've always wanted to be a writer, and I always have been a writer. And I think because for me, one thing that writing did was that it gave me an escape. It gave me a way to kind of just disappear from the world sometimes, which I found quite tricky. And also, I think it was just a really nice way or easy way for me to understand the world and people by writing it down, by writing down my thoughts and my feelings and the things that I'd done into these fantastic stories. It was just a way for me to, understand the world, really.
Absolutely amazing. Well, we've got some lovely questions coming through already for you, Kate, just based on your responses. So Lucy Gibson has asked, is writing a book hard?
Yes, it is. It is hard. And there's no point in pretending that it isn't. But what it is as well is so much fun. You get to take these characters that you created and put them on these incredible journeys, and you get to do anything you want with them. Sometimes characters can get a little bit, I don't know, a bit outspoken, and they can make decisions that you're not always in control of. But yeah, it's just a wonderful experience, and it's so fun to be able to do whatever you want. But it is hard, very hard. Yeah, you have to be very dedicated, very focused, very disciplined to sit down and write that book from start to finish. And when it's finished, it doesn't stop there. You have to revise the book, and then you have to reread the book and revise the book again. And then you get people's feedback, and then you listen to their feedback and you revise it again. And then you have an editor who comes along and says, I think you need to do this, this, and this. So you have to write it again. And then it goes on. And you actually get to the point where you're quite bored of your book. You're like, I don't want to read this thing ever again. But then you don't read it for a long time because it goes off. It goes off into the world of publishing behind the scenes, and then you get it back a few months later and it's a book, and it's just magical. So I think it's hard, but it's well worth it.
Amazing. It sounds well worth it. It sounds like a labor of love, as they
Yes.
would say.
Mhm.
So Kate, from start to finish, year 5 have asked, how long would you say it would take you to write a book?
Well, now then, I don't know if there's any other writers here. Hope not. Hope there's no writers in the room listening in, because they don't usually like the answer that I'm about to give. So when I first wrote PAWS, for example, I took only about 3 weeks to write it. Now that is fast. I'm not kidding. Even I know that that is fast. A lot of writers can take months, sometimes even years, depending on how much research there is to do, and how difficult those characters are to kind of wrangle and do as they're told and get to know. But one thing I will say is, even though it only took me 3 weeks to actually write, PAWS was in my head, and most books actually that I write, they're in my head for years. These characters take a really long time to evolve and take shape, and then I add scenes and I imagine how it might look if I did this with the character. So for a long, long time, I kind of carry my books around in my head, kind of like in a little suitcase inside my head, and I get them out every now and again and pop them back in. So even though writing might take 3 weeks, probably the thinking part of writing for me takes a lot longer. I think I went on a bit of a
Fabulous.
tangent there and rambled quite a lot, so I hope that made sense.
It absolutely did. It's brilliant. And you sound like a very speedy writer, which helps with the long editing process as well, which is
Yeah. Oh,
amazing.
don't tell anyone that though. Don't tell any other writers that I write, because they don't like it.
I hope myself and the audience will keep that to ourselves.
Between us.
So Willow class are actually asking, on that theme, what's your favorite book that you've ever written?
That's such a cruel question. How could you possibly ask me that? I mean, it's like choosing a favourite child. I don't think I have a favourite, but if you force me to choose, I would have to say PAWS. I think because it was my first it was my first book that actually got published. I wrote lots and lots of books before PAWS that didn't quite make it, that weren't quite right for publishers to buy. So PAWS was kind of my first one that really reflected my own life, my own experiences as well. It was really me writing all my passion and my love and my life onto these pages. So if I had to choose, I think it would be PAWS, just because it was number one.
Amazing. And your main character, Alex, he's what we might call neurodivergent. What was it that inspired your character of Alex? And can you explain what we mean by neurodivergent?
Yeah, most certainly. So Alex is neurodivergent. So he's actually autistic, which comes under this umbrella of neurodivergent. So if you think about it, there's this massive, huge umbrella, which is called neurodiversity, and everybody comes under that umbrella. We are all under this neurodiverse. So it just basically means we've all got these different brains that function in these different ways. And under that umbrella, we have neurotypical and neurodivergent. And so neurodivergent really is people whose brains just work a little bit differently, not the typical way that people expect. And that includes autistic people, ADHD, Tourette's, dyslexic, dyscalculia, I think that's how you say it. So all these amazing, wonderful, colourful different ways our brains work, we come under this neurodivergent umbrella. And so under that, there's another little umbrella, which is autism, and that's what Alex is. And Alex is very much based on me, because I'm autistic, and as is my youngest son as well. So Alex is kind of this big mishmash of me and my son, experiences we had while we were growing up, and things I went through as a mother for him as well. I tried to bring that into the story in the case of Alex's mum. So it was very much oh, my dog just fell off the chair. So PAWS was very much this way of me saying, autism is not what you think. so many of us think that we watch a few shows or we hear a few things and we think, well, that's what autism is for everybody. But it really isn't. Autistic people are just so different, and it looks and sounds and it appears so different from one person to the next. So PAWS, writing about PAWS, I was just inspired to put this autistic boy in a story that was really about friendship, and it was about family, and it was about, and dogs. Yeah, about dogs.
And we have another question, which is, who is your favourite character? Can you introduce us to some of the other characters from PAWS?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So one of the other characters in PAWS is a boy called Derek. Now, he is a very, very sweet boy who's very much based on a friend that my son had made a few years ago at primary school, who unfortunately moved away. So in the case of PAWS, he actually moves to the town where Alex lives. And he is just such a beautiful, pure, innocent little boy who just loves everybody, and he just loves everything, and he wants to share everything, and he was such a joy to write. The other character whom I adored writing was Ned, who is Alex's older brother, and he's very much based on another one of my sons. And he's 14 in the story, and I don't know how old everybody is here today, but sometimes when you reach kind of 14, 15, I think very much for boys, as in particular, girls too, it becomes a real confusing time. It's a very confusing time of life, and you're kind of growing up really fast, and you've got all these moods and these emotions you don't know what to do with, but you're still a child and you still love. And so Ned was just this big, confusing, emotional character, and I just adored writing him and his love for his brother Alex.
Thank you so much. And that was a question from year 3 and 4 at Wharton School. I feel like I should give them a little shout out. It's a lovely question. Willow Class have asked, do you ever get stuck or confused when you're writing a really long story?
Oh, a lot. Yeah. When I first started writing, I never really used to plan my books, and I'd be all excited because I'd have this amazing idea and I'd know exactly how to start it. So I'd writing it down, and then I'd get to a point when I was like, oh, well, what's going to happen next? I kind of know where I want to end, but I don't know what to do with my character to get them to this ending. And I found that really, really confusing and difficult. So now I've taught myself to plot my stories. So in advance, I think about what's going to happen at the important stages. So I kind of create a skeleton of what my book is going to look like first, and I write down all these points. So this is going to happen, and then he's going to get here, and then he'll get there. So it just makes it a little bit easier each time for me to write to the next milestone and then the next milestone. But there are still lots and lots of times where I kind of, even now, I get stuck, and I've written like 30 books now, and I still get stuck. And I think, oh, how am I going to get him home? Or how am I going to get this character into a different country? So I have to really kind of, sometimes put my book away and stare out of the window, or I'll play Angry Birds, or I'll watch something on the TV, and it just helps my brain kind of rest and work through these things.
That's a fabulous response. I think we all need to play a little bit more Angry Birds as well. Just to give we need a break sometimes, don't we, to get those creative juices flowing. Phoebe asks, did you have a favourite book as a child?
Wow, I did. I had lots and lots of favourite books as a child, actually. I loved the Worst Witch series. I don't know if anyone, look it up. Absolutely, I adored the Worst Witch series. I think because back then I didn't know I was autistic when I was a child, but I knew I was very different to pretty much everybody else around me. So I think in Mildred Hubble, who's the main character in the Worst Witch series, she just reminded me of me. She made me feel very sort of accepted and seen and represented, and it was just a real joy to go on these really messy, awkward journeys in each of the books with Mildred. And she was she was clumsy and she made all these mistakes, but she was just a real sweet person, and just always tried her best. So that was probably one of my most favourite books when I was growing up. Another book which I have read an awful lot, and I still sometimes get it out and I read it now, is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. That real classic. I think we all have heard of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. But that for me was just really got me at a point in my life where I was just taken with the magic, with this idea of going into a wardrobe and accessing a completely different world. And so yeah, that one is a real kind of comfort read for me. So yeah, that's a couple of my favorite books.
Those are fabulous suggestions. I also loved Mildred Hubble when I was growing up, and I feel very much the same.
Yeah.
A clumsy young witch suits me down to the ground. We've got some more lovely questions. Parkland's Year 4 class would like to know, were you the best writer in your class when you were at school?
I don't know. I was, I think I mentioned earlier that I was actually quite secretive about my writing. I'm not sure if that was because I didn't have any confidence, or if maybe my big brother had put me off because he laughed at my Monty Mouse story. But I don't know. I didn't share an awful lot of my writing. But I do remember once one of the tasks we had to do in English was to write a short story, and it could be about anything, absolutely anything. So I wrote a little story about a rocket, and I kind of just wrote it, and I had all this fun writing it, and we handed them in. Anyway, I got 5 team points from a teacher who did not like giving out team points. And I think that was a moment, maybe I was 10. I think that was a moment when I kind of realised, oh, I think I might be all right at this. I think I might be quite good. And it was a moment when I realised that maybe I could put a lot of time into more time into my writing, and try a bit harder and experiment with different things. So I don't know if I was the best at writing. I think the thing is with writing, there's so many different things that you can write, and people have skills in different areas. So it doesn't, even if you can't really write creative writing, fiction, you may be this incredible person that can write about something that's actually happened, or you love writing about history. So yeah, I kind of think that we've all got different skills when it comes to writing.
I'm sorry to hear that you weren't confident in your abilities. Looking back, do you have any advice for someone who might be lacking in confidence when it comes to writing?
That's a tricky one, because I think sometimes it's okay to not be completely confident in what you're doing. I think sometimes confidence can become even stronger if it builds slowly. If you learn through listening to different people, to understanding how other people write, to reading lots and lots of books and trying to sort of take on board some of the things you read in those books, and think, oh, I might try that, I might try this. And I think confidence is one of those things, that can build very slowly over time. So my only piece of advice would be for anyone who would love to be a writer, but perhaps doesn't think that they have the skills. You do, because anybody can be an amazing storyteller. Honestly, you just write about the things close to your heart, and they're your stories, and they're important, and they are wonderful, and people want to hear them. And I think enjoy it. That's one thing I always come back to. I teach lots of grown-ups writing now, and sometimes they're very serious about what they're writing, and they're very concerned about getting this wrong and getting that right. And I say, go back to how you felt when you first started writing the story. Go back to those moments of joy and excitement, and just embrace those. Just have fun with it. Because you know what? Once your story's written, you can do anything to it. Once it's out of your brain on that page, you can go back and you can change it and you can tweak it and you can, just do whatever you like. So have fun. That would be my biggest piece of advice.
I think that's lovely advice, because you've got to enjoy what you do. Year 5 have asked, what is your favourite breed of dog? I know you've mentioned a couple of dog breeds, but do you have a tip-top favourite one?
That's another such a cruel question. How can you possibly pick a favourite dog? They are all good dogs. They're all good. They're all perfect. There's no such thing as a bad dog. I don't know. I never know how to answer that. I think my favourite type of dog is a rescue dog. Both of my dogs are rescue dogs, and I will only ever get rescue dogs now, because those dogs, when they come to you, you don't always know what their previous life has been like, and when they come to you, they just are in love with this new wonderful home that you've given them, all this love you're giving them, and they just lap it up and they want to be with you. And so I think I would have to say rescue dogs. I also quite like golden retrievers, Bernese Mountain Dogs. I love German Shepherds and Spaniel. Yeah, I just name them all.
You like the big dogs.
I do, and funny because mine are little, or medium. So, but I do quite like the big fluffy dog breeds. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's how we first introduced ourselves to one another, was a lovely chat about rescue dogs. Parkland's Year 4 class just wanted you to know that they have just finished The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and they absolutely loved it.
Yay! Oh, how fantastic.
A lot of shared passion here in this chat, which is really excellent. And I think it's a fantastic book. Let's just see what other questions we've got. Whirlingworth, Year 3 and 4 class would like to ask, how many books have you written in your lifetime?
I'm not sure exactly how many, but I would probably say about 30, I think, and that's full books. I've started lots of books and maybe not finished those books, which again, I think no writing is wasted writing. All of those books I started, probably bits of those chapters I wrote, those characters I wrote, some scenes have made it into other books. So I'd never kind of consider anything a failure. I think any writing I do is improving my skills and helping my brain kind of create these new stories. But I think probably I've written 30 full books in my life, and I'm very proud that I now have I have 5 published and more to come.
We're very excited. We're looking forward to reading everything that you put out. It's really lovely to hear all about your lovely characters. I'm just going to have a little. Hermitage Primary School are interested to know, what's your biggest barrier and how did you overcome it? What's your biggest barrier?
And I'm guessing barrier in terms of writing or in my life. Maybe I could answer both. In my writing, probably actually it's the same answer, and it's confidence. And it's definitely self-belief and it's confidence. I think believing in yourself is just so important, because when you write, you are often putting a lot of yourself, your heart, your soul, your life experiences, all onto this page and in this story. And once that book is then out there, people can say what they like about it. People can hate it. People can whine about it. People can pick it apart and tell you how terrible it is. And so it takes an awful lot of confidence to be able to put that book out there and say, well, it's up to you what you think. I don't mind. If you don't like it, you don't like it. On the flip side, you know, it's wonderful and it builds your confidence when people read your books and love them, and they send you messages to say, my gosh, you know, I really connected with your characters. I loved this bit. I loved that bit. Yeah, and the same in life. I think putting yourself out there for other people is it's a lot. It takes a lot of confidence to be yourself. But I'm older now, and I still have lots to learn, and I still learn from not just people older than me, people younger than me. I learn from children all the time about how to be confident in who you are and believe in yourself. So yeah, I think that answers both, really.
Absolutely. I think that's a lovely answer. Yeah, we do learn every day, not just at school, but from other people around us. Lucy asks, do you have a favourite place to write? She's specifically asked, did you write at a coffee shop?
Well, a lot of writers do write in coffee shops, and you see it on the TV quite often. You see it in writers who post pictures on their websites and things. They're in the coffee shop and they're writing. Not me. I'm so sorry, but I am not that interesting. I don't. Part of me as an autistic person is I struggle with noise, and when there's lots of layered noise, I kind of lose control of my head and I can't hear things properly. I can't focus on anything, and so when I'm in a public places, yeah, I'm usually on very high alert, quite anxious. There's no way I could write in those situations. So I write in complete silence at home. And I'll be honest, my favourite place to write is in my bed. I love to be in bed, under my blankets with my dogs either side of me, maybe some biscuits and some cakes that side, and some water or coffee the other side. And that's it. That's just me and my laptop and nice, quiet, peaceful. And that's when all my good ideas come.
Perfect. I think that sounds like a lovely place to write. Do you have any advice for someone who might feel overwhelmed by the noise? Would you just take yourself away from that situation, or do you have any coping mechanisms that you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, it very much depends on the situation. Unfortunately, there are always situations we're in where we can't just walk away, and we can't ignore the noises if we're overwhelmed, and it's very, very difficult. But if you can, then I would say have a safe person that if it is overwhelming, that you can not necessarily speak to them, maybe sign to them or make a signal to say that you're overwhelmed and you need to remove yourself and go somewhere quiet, so that you can calm down and regulate yourself. If you can do that, do it. It without doubt. I think if any teachers or librarians, any grown-ups really who are here listening, if you have children in your classes who need to get away, create some kind of signal between you, learn some sign language perhaps, so that it doesn't allow that child to feel like they're putting themselves out there and becoming a focus, because a lot being autistic, we know we stand out and actually we often don't want to, so if we can just make a kind of a secret signal just between someone that we trust, someone that we're safe with, then it makes a big difference. I'd say headphones. You can buy these incredible little earpieces now, which you can just pop in and people can't really see them and they look cool. They are amazing. They don't always get rid of the noise, but they certainly muffle it and they make it just easier to cope. And I think in situations where you can't walk away and you can't remove yourself, then breathing is a huge one. Huge deep breaths, and I think being able to maybe look at a photo of something that brings you joy, doodling, something that can distract you from that noise, and that's something that brings you great joy. You know, doodling is a stim. It's a way of regulating our emotions. I would quite often have my phone in my hand, which I know is something that we don't really kind of encourage, but I'm often not looking at it. I'm just holding it, and I'm just and it's there and it's safe in my hands, and it allows me to focus on something. So that's one thing I would certainly recommend to a lot of neurodivergent people out there, and anyone really with kind of those sensory processing issues. And yeah, have something that can distract you enough that you can actually then pay attention.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's wonderful advice. I think not just for neurodivergent people, but also in life, making sure that you're comfortable and happy and in the best place that you can be. Kate, I'd love to hear a little bit from your book, PAWS, if possible. Are you happy to have a little read through for us?
I would love to have a read if everybody wants me to read. I could answer questions like for hours and hours, but I know that we don't have long. So yeah, I would be more than happy to read from PAWS. I thought I would just show you the covers actually. So the one in the middle is PAWS that was published in Australia. The one over here is the one that you guys would know, which is the UK version of PAWS. And then this one, you'll recognise the cover, same cover as the English one, but a different title. And this was the one that was the version that was published in America. They decided that PAWS was not working for them as a title, so they wanted something long. So we went for all the small, wonderful things. So yeah, it's very exciting to see Alex and Kevin on these journeys across the whole world. So yeah, I thought I would share those because I think it's very exciting to know like some of the things that go on behind the scenes as an author. So yeah, so I'm going to read obviously from this version, which is the same that you know. So I will read a couple of chapters from the beginning. Okay, so here we go. Monday, 7th of November, 5 days to pause. Chapter 1. Jared's giving me the look. I'm pretty good at recognising the signs now. A light breeze tickles my cheeks, and I lift my chin, letting it cool my sweaty neck. Distracted, I wonder if it might be cooler inside the classrooms than outside today. Probably even cooler than here in the undercover area, actually. It's a hot day for November, though I can't remember the weather on all the days in all of the Novembers that I've been alive. I glance away from Jared's freckly face and his flushed pink cheeks, and I concentrate harder on my mouth and my voice, on finding the right words to tell him about how far I got on Tunnels of Disaster and Doom Map 5 and the 40 million new orbsicles I won last night. But I can't stop my eyes moving back up to him. He's looking over my shoulder at the kids playing on the field, and his feet and hands are shifting and fidgeting. This all tells me he doesn't want to be standing with me anymore, and that his ears aren't listening to what I'm saying. It's the same look most people get when I'm telling them about Orb's World. But I absolutely have to finish telling Jared about Tunnels of Disaster and Doom Map 5. Orb's World is my favourite computer game ever. And last night I was messaging Jared, and he's already completed Map 5, and he's the most popular boy, and the best sprinter in the whole school. I decided to talk faster. And it was that ladder that I got stuck on every time for like 2 weeks. But then I figured it out, and I recognise these types of oral responses because of mystery game number 3. And I know to watch out for visual clues like body language and facial expressions because of mystery game number 4. I learned all of this at the Be Aware classes I went to last year with Mum, Dad and Ned. But the problem is I don't know how to change it or to make Jared interested in what I'm saying. So I just keep talking. I had to climb the ladder halfway. Yep. Jared takes 3 small steps backwards, wiping his hands on his shorts. And then I hopped onto the platform when the ants... Oh, yeah. Jared adjusts his watch. My brain has stopped working and the right words just aren't coming. When the ants, they charged down the wall and then I... Okay, good job for doing that, Alex. I got to go. Jared runs off, legs and arms pumping, and his last words carried back to me on the humid air. He charges across the undercover area and onto the grass, weaving through a group of girls singing, and a game of handball between Isaac and Frank on the concrete, and the new kid with white hair sitting alone on the swing. Now Jared's calling for Henry to pass him the ball. Henry's dodging Rahul, his hands waving in the air, his brown hair flapping beneath his blue cap. The sun beats down on all of them, but not on me. Not where I stand in the shade. The shouts and the pounding feet of the other kids are suddenly too loud. Too loud. I didn't hear them when I was telling Jared about Orbs World, about Tunnels of Disaster and Doom Map 5, but now the noises make my breathing go funny and I wince. Two kids, Joshua and Woo, rush by. Joshua roaring something to Woo that goes through my left ear and comes out of my right, and I startle, my tummy lurching, a squeak escaping out of my mouth. I can feel my eyes burn and I want to cry, but I won't, not here, not now that I'm in year 6. So I press the feeling down, back down, into my tummy and put my hands over my ears. I want to shout at them, at all of them, particularly at Joshua and Woo, but Ned, my brother, tells me I can't stop people running and shouting and doing other things like that at lunchtime or morning break. Ned says that policing people is bad and will get me picked on at secondary school, even though Ned is forever telling me what to do. But Dad always agrees with him and then tells me how rough his school was when he was a kid. And Mum gives me a sad smile, which makes me angry because I know it means she also agrees, but feels sorry for me at the same time. Mum always feels sorry for me about everything. None of them think I listen or see or understand. So I don't shout at Joshua and Woo or go after Jared and try talking to him again, because even though I might not always say the right thing or think the right thing or do the right thing, I don't want to be beaten up or shouted at. I'm not stupid. I spin, the gravel crunching under my feet, and my left heel slips out of my black leather shoe because the laces came undone earlier. I need to tuck the ends in before I trip, because I can't do laces properly, but I don't. Instead, I head towards my classroom, hands still over my ears, because all the noises and the rushing children are pushing up a scream and a sob is rising into my chest. Miss Westing and Mum say I can always head to the classroom if I can't regulate my emotions, and right now I can't. My coping beaker, the name we use for all the feelings inside me, is full, full, full. Pale blue uniforms blur in my vision, and screeching voices and vibrating footsteps shudder through me, so I focus on my laces, the black threads like two skinny snakes attached to my shoe, flicking back and forth. I don't like snakes, but I'm more scared of spiders. Though the dangerous ones like the redbacks stay hidden away. The orbs and the huntsman spiders are the big and fast and make huge webs in trees and bushes everywhere. They give me the creeps. I hate spiders, but I love dogs, especially my dog. And Kevin, my cockapoo, and I have been working on a plan, something that would definitely make Jared and maybe the other popular kids want to be my friend. If I can't be good enough at Orbs World or fast enough at running, I only have one other chance, Kevin. I want to go home now and see him, but I can't. Mum doesn't come and get me anymore. She probably would, but Miss Westing doesn't call her every time school becomes too loud for me or something happens that makes me emotional. They decided this without me, even though I was there in the meeting, at the beginning of this term, my last ever term at primary school. They decided I had to try harder to handle the difficult times because secondary school would be even tougher. I'm nearly at my classroom, the sounds of kids fading behind me. I take deep breaths, just like I've been taught, in through my nose and out of my mouth. My reflection floats along beside me in the windows of the Year 6 classrooms, all of them decorated in colourful artwork, sea creatures designed with bottle tops, handwritten school rules on card cut into flower shapes, night city scenes in black and red paper. I like art, and I love sketching Kevin and Dennis, Ned's lazy bulldog. I have a green robot notebook, almost filled up with my newest dog sketches. Thinking about drawing dogs makes me calmer. Plus, it's quieter at this end of the school. My classroom is at the end of D block, beside the new tree garden. I should have stayed at the tree garden today, like usual, But Jared, he accepted my friend request on Orbs World last night, and we traded orbsicles for rations, and I thought... I sigh and remove my hands from my ears, then sit on the chipped green bench outside my classroom. An ibis wanders past, pecking at school bags in search of leftover snacks. Lucky dinosaur bird. He can leave school whenever he wants. I hate school so much, but I hate the thought of secondary school even more because I'm afraid of the big kids and all the noise and the extra homework and the strict teachers. But most of all, I'm actually afraid of never having a real life friend. Chapter 2. Mum pulls into a nearby parking space in our Mitsubishi Outlander, my favourite car. Dad's silver truck is dusty and loud and bumpy, and I don't like it. She's late, which is normal because she has to collect Ned from secondary school first, even though it would be quicker for him to walk here because his school is just on the other side of the lake. There's always traffic, she says, so I should never worry that she won't come. She'll always come. Before I approach the car, I double-check the colour and the registration plate to be completely sure it's Mum. It is. I push off from the black barred fence and adjust my bag on my back. Then I swig from my aqua water bottle as I walk over. Ned pokes his tongue out at me from the front seat. He is so rude to me. Mum says that's because he's 14, and 14-year-olds don't always think. She says that he actually loves me and is trying to have fun. Don't do that, I say, and I slap my hand on the window. Mum jabs a finger at the back seat, her lips pursed. So I open the car door and I throw my bag across the seat. Coldness and quiet envelop me as I poke my head inside. Hey, Alex, Ned says, swivelling in the front seat and taking out one of his earphones. Don't hit the car windows, please, Mum says, peering over her sunglasses at me. Why didn't you bring the dogs? I ask, clambering into the car. Because. Mum shakes her head and turns towards the front again. Is she cross with me? I don't think I said anything rude. How was your day? Ned asks. I reach out to shut the car door and a bike whizzes by. Bye now, a voice calls. It's Tony cycling home. Bye, Tony. Tony's nice to me, but he's not in my class anymore, so he isn't my friend. He was last year when I was in 5T, but now I'm in 6W with different kids. I didn't know all of them when the year started, but I do now. Most of them are nice to me, and I'm happy I don't have Ryan in my class. Though he's always around at morning break and lunch, Ryan says I can play with him on some days, but not others, and he whacks my cap off my head and takes my pencils. That's why I don't do drawing at school anymore and keep my sketches a secret. Ryan doesn't do this every day, but he does it some days. Mum says it sounds like he has some problems too, but I don't behave like that, so I'm not sure. I yank the door closed, shutting out the voices and the noises of car and bus engines. Then I secure my seatbelt until it clicks, pushing it down to make sure it's definitely locked in. Alex, Ned asked you how your day was. Mum flicks the car indicator, tick, 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 and then joins the traffic leaving school. Yeah, I answer, breathing in the berry scent from the car air freshener. So rude, Ned mumbles and turns back to the front. What? I'm not rude. I said, yeah. My day was good, I think. I can't remember much of it, apart from Jared not wanting to be my friend again, so I don't really know what else to tell Ned. You are, Ned replies, staring down at his phone, probably at a Fight Forest live stream, Ned's favourite game. I asked you how your day was, and you just said, yeah. I screw up my face, ramming my lips together as Mum says something to Ned, her voice low. I can hear Mum and my brother talking, but not the actual words, so I watch out of the window as kids in Jessop's Lake Primary School uniforms walk home with their parents, and teachers in orange vests wander up and down the path by the crossing. And then I see it. The huge white poster tied to the school fence at the corner. I see black and red lettering, a hand-drawn picture that changes every year because it's chosen in a competition. This year, the winner was a Chinese crested dog drawing. And then there are photos of other dog breeds, a German Shepherd, a Poodle, a Golden Retriever, and a Pug, an illustrated bunch of balloons, and the best words ever, which I've read every day since the poster was first put up 32 days ago. Go slow, Mum, I yell, pressing my nose up against the glass. She tuts and I read it as quickly as I can as our car rolls slowly past. Anxious not to miss anything. I need to read all of the words, all of them. And I'm not the fastest reader. I don't like reading at school, but I have to read these words. PAWS, Australia's best dog show, as seen on TV. Jessup Lake Showground, Saturday 12th of November, 10 till 4. Registration gates open at 8 a.m. Dog parades, competitions, stalls, police dogs, performing pooches. See you there. Wow. I read the smaller black letters at the very bottom, the bit that makes the insides of my tummy twirl. Register your dog in one of the contests before 10 a.m. Every winner receives a trophy and gift. PAWS is coming to Jessup's Lake, which is where I live. A real life, actual dog show. And this is the best dog show ever. It's the same one I watch on TV every year, the one that travels around Australia. I've wished super hard for 6 years and 2 months since I was 5 years and 5 months old that PAWS would come to a town on the Gold Coast. And this year, the year I turned 11, the year I graduate from Jessup's Lake Primary School, my wish has come true. I'm not sure if do we have time for another chapter?
I think we're nearly out of time, Kate, but that was such a beautiful reading. I'm sure that everyone will agree that we really got a sense of who Alex was and what his interests are. So thank you so much for reading that for us. We have, I think we've maybe got time for one more question before we go, if that's okay. So Beach Class from Wharton Primary School asked, have you ever written a book that you thought was great but didn't get published?
Oh yeah, all of them. So that's, there is one in particular which it didn't get published, but I haven't given up on it, because that's something about publishing that I think a lot of people don't realize, is that even though a book may not be right at that particular time, it could be in like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years time. So before I started writing books like PAWS, I used to write scary books. I love writing horror for kids. I know, you wouldn't believe it. And I wrote this fantastic book, and I love it. I still love it to this day, about this boy in this town called Darkwood. And basically, there are graves that are being emptied, and there are strange things happening to the kids, and it's really spooky and really scary. And it nearly got published, but not quite. And I just am not giving up on it. So that's the book that I really, really want one day. And I think everybody would really like it, because it's quite funny as well.
We will absolutely have to keep an eye out for that, Kate, because it sounds absolutely fantastic. And I used to really enjoy Goosebumps when I was growing up. So I think that sounds fabulous. Well, just before we end our session, I'd like to say thank you so much for all of you who have attended, and in particular, thank you so much to lovely Kate. I think we'd all agree that you've done such a beautiful job of answering those questions so honestly and openly and thoroughly, and I think you've given us a lot to think about. So thank you so much, and not only that, but for your beautiful reading, which I'm sure we all really enjoyed. On behalf of Children Today, oh, sorry, Kate, go on.
Say thank you. I honestly thank you so much to everybody who's registered and who's come today. And you know, I love hearing from kids, from teachers, from librarians, from anybody really. So please reach out to me if you have any questions about books, about writing, about autism. You know, I'm always here to answer and help and support as much as I can. But thank you so much.
Kate has told me as well, audience, that she loves receiving letters from people who have read her books or who are interested in learning more about Kate as a person. So if you love writing letters, Kate loves to receive them. So please do get involved. If you enjoyed our session, on behalf of Children Today, thank you so much for coming, and do give us a shout out if you use social media. So Facebook, you can get us at Children Today UK Charity, Instagram at Children Today Charity, and on Twitter at children today. If you have any other questions that we didn't get to, please don't panic. I will happily forward these on to Kate and send a follow-up email. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Kate. And we look forward to seeing you at other Accessible Authors sessions in the future.